He didn't just hurt your feelings, he humiliated you. And somehow you still feel like you're overreacting, right? He made sure to make you feel small on purpose. And that's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. We're told that abuse is anger, yelling, control. And that's what most people miss, that abuse is humiliation too. In fact, it's one of the most effective tools an abuser uses because it works fast, it sticks, and it keeps you quiet. Abusive men, they love to humiliate you because they don't want equality, right? They want dominance. They want to know that they can just control you, not by just what you do, but by how you feel about yourself. And it's not just about what they say, it's when they say it, how they say it, and who's watching. I'm Lisa Sonni, a toxic and abusive relationship expert who helps women rebuild after emotional and psychological abuse. So subscribe if you're ready for the real talk, because this is not going to be gentle, but it is going to be the truth, okay? So let's start here. If a man makes you the punchline in front of other people and then tells you to lighten up, it's not a joke. That's humiliation. If he crosses a boundary that you clearly set and he just calls it fun, that's not love. That's dominance, but he's disguising it as play. Now, one of the things that comes up all the time, right? And I love talking about this as a former event planner, a former wedding planner, it's the wedding cake smash. Everybody thinks it's so cute, right? It's silly. But what if she asked him not to, right? What if she said, please don't do that to me, and he did it anyway? Now it's not a joke, right? Now it's, I'll do what I want with you, even in front of your family, even on camera, even after you spend all this money and time on hair and makeup. That's not a tradition. That's a statement. You don't matter here. And recently I've been seeing all these videos online of grooms dunking brides in rivers and lakes and pools with their whole wedding dress on, and you can see her face. She is embarrassed, humiliated, and angry. This is how humiliation works, right? It's subtle enough that like other people are going to laugh while you're the one choking back tears. And that's actually just public humiliation, right? I think the private kind, that behind closed doors kind, that's probably where the real destruction is happening. Humiliation doesn't have to be loud or public. It is often quiet and a kind of a silencing comment like, who would even want you if you left me? You know, you're getting older. You should be grateful that I still want you. Or the ever classic, because it works all the time, you're just too sensitive, right? If he says something cruel, watches you break, and then makes your reaction the problem, suddenly you're not just hurt, right? You're embarrassed for being hurt. It's kind of like a double injury. First the blow, and then the shame because you flinched. And it's especially vicious when it targets how you look. We talk about sexual humiliation because not enough people do, right? You're trying to feel sexy again. You had kids, try to lose weight. You put on lingerie. You're nervous, but you're trying. And he laughs, or he looks you up and down and he's like, that's what you picked? Or worse, like, oh, you're really trying, huh? Maybe he doesn't even say anything, right? He just makes a face, tells you everything. And you fold because now you're literally naked, humiliated, ashamed for trying. Sometimes he calls you fat. He tells you he's just not attracted to you lately, especially when they present it in sort of a matter-of-fact way. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to be honest. But somehow he still expects access to your body, right? Still initiates sex, still wants your submission. That's not intimacy. It's power through shame. And if you say no, you're withholding and cruel and frigid. But if you say yes, knowing that he's just criticized your body, that's not consent. It's compliance under humiliation. And another brutal tactic is humiliating you in front of your kids. Maybe he doesn't scream. He just rolls his eyes when you speak, right? Interrupts you, says, ask your mom, she's the boss, but with sarcasm so sharp that even your kids are like, oh. Or he corrects you in a really mean way while you're disciplining them. Now they don't just disrespect you, right? They're learning it from him. It's subtle and it's corrosive and it works because sometimes it's even disguised as concern, right? Like if they say, I mean, that outfit isn't super flattering, but do what you want, wear what you want. I just think that you'd be happier if you lost a little bit of weight. Or something like, you don't really handle stress very well, do you, right? These aren't observations. They're psychological warfare, but they sort of dress it up like advice or feedback or just like I'm being honest, right? You can't be mad because I'm being honest. But one of the most confusing and cruel ways that men humiliate women is through what I call dog whistle abuse, right? It's coded, it's subtle, it's designed to humiliate you while making them look like the calm one. It's calling you by a childhood nickname that you hate in front of other people. It's telling a private story about you at dinner, one that paints you as like dramatic or fragile or unstable. It's saying things like, you get this way when you're off your meds, even when you're not on any, right? They seem funny, they seem concerned, but they're making you unhinged. These are like private little jokes that if other people hear, they're not going to see it as abuse. They're not going to see it as mean. It's very easy for them to sort of like, oh, it's just a misunderstanding. Maybe you took it the wrong way, but you know. It's like going over to someone else's house and he's like, wow, your house is so clean. Hey, Lisa, don't you see how her house is so clean? Right after he argued with you about how you're not a very good housekeeper. And here's the worst part. If you react, they win. And if you don't react, they still win. Because either way, you look like the angry, unstable woman, or you just sit there and eat it. Like those are your choices, right? Dog whistle humiliation is especially hard to name, and you really start to doubt that it even happened. But fundamentally, like, that's the point. It's emotional entrapment, but they do it with a little smirk on their face. So you finally try to tell someone what's happening, what he said, right? What he did, and you're met with confusion. He's just teasing. Are you sure you're not being too sensitive, right? He seems like such a nice guy. That feels like a literal slap in the face because now not only are you humiliated, you're alone in it. You start to wonder if you imagined it. Maybe you are the problem. That is exactly what he wants. Because outside the home, these guys are charming and funny and supportive. People like him. He makes sure that people like him. So when he mocks you in public, it's playful, right? It's just a joke. When he humiliates you in private, it's your word against his. And he's already won that popularity contest. It's not just about controlling you. It's literally also about controlling the narrative. What makes humiliation, honestly, so particularly devastating is that it doesn't just hurt, it changes you. You go quiet. You stop dressing the way you used to. You smile smaller. You laugh less. You begin kind of like maybe even preemptively making fun of yourself so he won't do it first, right? Now suddenly you're so self-deprecating. You try to disappear, but it's specifically so that you can just stay safe, kind of in the shadows, out of it. Then you feel ashamed for the version of you that's left. But that's the aftermath and the damage. And this is what most people just don't understand at all about humiliation. It's not random. It is strategic. He accidentally humiliated you. He didn't mean to. He tries to get you to focus on the fact that he didn't intend to. So you need to ignore the impact. That's insanity. The whole thing is strategic, right? He uses it when you're getting too confident, too outspoken, too independent. He knows exactly when to strike, and he knows how to make it look like a joke or a concern or like just a casual remark, right? It's targeted and it's calculated. It is not casual. He's not trying to resolve anything. He wants to reduce you into the smallest version of you possible. And even worse, I bet you start to humiliate yourself, right? This is what I mean about the self-deprecation. You make jokes at your own expense so that he doesn't do it first. You beat him to the punch so that it doesn't sting as badly. You start apologizing before you speak. You try to read his face. This is the eggshells to see if you're allowed to exist comfortably that day. That is not a relationship. That is walking through like a minefield, but you're calling it love. It's a trauma bond if you're still in this and you feel like you can't leave and it feels like love. This is the literal definition of a trauma bond. Now, if you ever gather up the audacity to stand up for yourself, here comes the finale, right? You're so dramatic. God, you ruined the night. I was just being honest. And now you're not only humiliated, you are painted as the villain for not enjoying the abuse. He did not break you because you're weak. He broke you because it made him feel strong. And that's not love. That's actually, I'm calling that emotional sadism. I don't know if that's a term. It's my term. If this sounds familiar, I want to tell you something. You're not crazy and you're not oversensitive and you're not the problem. He's the problem. Humiliation isn't a symptom of love. It is not a byproduct of like stress. It's not just how men talk. Never forget, not all men. Never forget, not all men. It's cruelty. It's meant to disarm you, it's meant to dominate you and to make you small. So if this has been your reality, I want you to know that you can leave a man like this, you can heal from a relationship like this. I work privately with women who have lived through this exact kind of abuse. One-on-one coaching, group coaching, online courses, books, and there's no toxic positivity, there's no gaslighting, just clarity, strategy, and an action plan. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. So if you're ready to rebuild your confidence, your self-worth, your voice, check out the link below to book a session with me. And in the comments, if you're ready to tell, what do you think was the most humiliating thing that he ever did? Say it out loud, because sometimes naming it is actually the first step towards being done with it. And if you're not ready for that, just type, I see it now. That's enough for today. It is. Hit subscribe for more real talk about abuse and how to break free for good, because you deserve more than survival. You deserve to be treated like a whole autonomous human being again, and you will be.